Call it Pop Bubba Sparks.
Booty, 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 rockin' everywhere. Booty, booty.
Hey, I don't know.
What's up, YouTube? It's Desi, and I'm back with another video, you guys. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And I'm going to go ahead and do this phlebotomy video for you guys because I'm on my lunch. So let's get right to it. Alright, so for this video, basically, I'm going to talk about the 7 common mistakes that goes through when phlebotomy. If you guys may notice, I always talk about my past experience with phlebotomy because it's always good to talk about a job you used to work at versus where you're at right now. But anyways, it's to kind of help out people as far as for their experience, welcoming them into the field. So yeah, that's why I always do videos on phlebotomy. Alright, so it's going to be 7 common mistakes that happens during phlebotomy that most people may not know. Just to name off a few, you have patients moving during venipuncture, you have patients touching stuff, patients reaction, patients verification, making sure you get all the correct materials, having supplies set for venipuncture, and to be gentle at all times. So let's get right into the video. I'm gonna make it quick for you guys, so if I do talk fast, I do apologize. Okay, so the first things first, patients moving during venipuncture. That's one of the major mistakes. At the end of the day, whenever you're about to draw blood from someone, always let them know to stay still. Always let them know to stay still, because at the end of the day, that helps as far as for avoiding accidental needle sticks. And you don't want to have someone else's blood inside you and all that stuff like that. Either way it go, you don't want to get stuck by a needle that had already been inside someone else. So you want to make sure you always try to advise the patient, look, during this venipuncture, please stay still. If you don't want to get hurt and I don't want to get hurt, please stay still. So that you have to make sure that you keep and nip it in the bud as far as for the patient, because a lot of patients tend to freak out when it comes to phlebotomy, so they want to feel like they can move stuff. So you want to kind of put that down pack on them. The second thing, patients touching stuff. Now, I don't know, everybody's experience is different, but me personally, when I was working at the plasma center, a lot of patients like to touch to see what you're doing. Either they're trying to touch your badge, or they're trying to find something to touch to try to keep their mind off of the venipuncture. Me personally, if you have like those little squeezy ball things or something like that they could pump or something like that, I would give that to them. That way they can kind of get their mind off of things. But some patients do tend to touch stuff. Now, it's not just kids. Some adults are the same way as well too. So I want to keep that in mind. Now, if you are dealing with kids, everybody have their different way of, getting blood from them. But as far as for adults, they try to find any old type of way to try to like stop them from freaking out. So at the end of the day, you have to make sure you tell them to stay still, keep your hands, feet, objects, all types of stuff by your side until I'm done with this venipuncture. Otherwise, it can cause for more sticks to come about, and I know a patient don't want to get stuck more than 2 times. So at the end of the day, let them know straight up, like, look, I'm only here to get this blood from you, and that's that. After anything happens after that, you can go do whatever you want to do. The third thing is major, patients' reactions. Everybody has different reactions when it comes to drawing blood. You have patients who will cry, you have patients who scream, some patients will faint. You have all different types of things, and I done seen it with my own eyes. I even seen a patient have a seizure. Like, it was just crazy, you guys. But at the end of the day, patients' reactions are always major. You want to make sure you're prepared for that. At the end of the day, you have to be prepared for however the patient may act. Now, I know most people be like, well, how do I prepare for it? At the end of the day, always be observative. Always be willing to like see what you think is going to happen next. It's always that feeling that I would get, because when working at a plasma center, we have to literally watch our whole entire section. So at the end of the day, I can always tell when it's going to be a patient that's about to throw up. I can tell when it's going to be a patient that's dehydrated. I can always just tell. So you want to make sure you just be observative as far as for those type of things. That way it won't lead to any more accidental needle sticks, or it could lead to more sticks that you have to do to the patient. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. Patient verification is major as well too. Patient verification is major because you never want to you don't ever want to put the wrong label to a blood sample to someone else. So meaning as in, if a person's name is James Harden and his date of birth is 12/12/2012, at the end of the day, you don't want to say, for instance, you get another patient, James Harden the second, and he has 12/13 and another date of birth. Most people, they probably get to talking with the patient so much and they end up switching the labels and stuff like that. You don't ever want to do that. Always verify. So say, for instance, even as you're talking to the patient, just be like, okay, so I see your first last name is this, your date of birth is this. If you could repeat it back to me, your date of birth. And that way it won't be any confusion, because if you do put the wrong label on a different specimen, or the specimen that's to a different patient, that can throw you off completely. That can sometimes get you fired. It's just a lot of confusion that goes with that, because you got to think the specimen is going to get sent to the lab. So you want to make sure you pay attention to all those type of things. All right. Also, get the correct materials. This can be one of the mistakes that happen during venipuncture as well too, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you have the correct tubes. What I mean is that if a patient is here for a glucose test, you need to make sure you have that gray tube available and have it ready. You do not want to try to find other stuff to do. At the end of the day, when it comes to phlebotomy, have all your stuff ready. And that brings me to the next one. Have the materials set for venipuncture, because you don't want to have to stick the needle in someone and then you're like, oh, I forgot the cotton balls, can you please grab me the cotton balls, like stuff like that. So you want to make sure you have it all set and ready. For the most part, most people don't realize that when you don't have the materials ready, that can sometimes get the patient a little anxious, and then that's when they'll start building up like how they about to start feeling towards the actual needle stick. So you want to have that in place. The last one is to be gentle at all times. The reason why I say this is one of the mistakes, because most people, they can be gentle and the patient still continues to move through the venipuncture. At the end of the day, you have to just put your foot down and let them know, like, look, I'm going to try to be as gentle as possible with you. I know you're probably scared of needles. Me personally, I'm only here to just get this venipuncture out the way. Let's work together and we both can kind of do this and do that. But the whole point of it, a patient can always tell if a person is like really rough with them when it comes to venipuncture. So at the end of the day, being gentle is definitely a major thing. When I mean as in gentle, meaning as in make sure that you pull their skin back pretty simple. Don't be so quick to just, you know, do all certain type of stuff. And then whenever a patient, like say for instance, you put the needle in and they scream or something like that, me personally, I'll be like, you're fine, breathe in and out, breathe in and out. Instead, don't stick the needle in and then when a patient's like, youch or something, and then you're like just looking at them or something like that, that's gonna make them do the more stuff, like more extra stuff, due to the fact that they're scared. So you want to make sure that you kind of just keep that in mind whenever it comes to venipuncture. I just feel as if phlebotomy is definitely something good to learn on, definitely something good to try. Also remember this, the more that you do phlebotomy, the better that you'll become in it. At the end of the day, like I said, I started off with phlebotomy with medical assistant schooling. We kind of slacked a little bit because I got hired on as medical assistant, but at the end of the day, it's like we did a little bit of phlebotomy in school. Then I got hired as a phlebotomist at a plasma center. So that was like my everyday type experience. So that's what I'm saying. You want to make sure you try to get as much experience every day, because the more experience you get, the better you can get at phlebotomy. So that's definitely a fact. If you guys have any questions or anything, make sure that you leave it down in the comments below. I'll be sure to check that. Don't forget to check those links down below as well too. Throughout my whole entire phlebotomy experience, I talk about my pay, is it worth it, what to expect, all those type of things. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure y'all stay safe, and happy Friday, y'all.